rose over a small village in Uttar Pradesh. Locals found a young man named Ravi lying unconscious at the edge of the dirt road. The severe psychological shock triggered a bizarre, permanent symptom. Over a single night, his dark hair turned entirely snow white. Ravi survived whatever happened to him out there in the dark, but he has never spoken a single word since, leaving a total void of information about his final conscious moments. We do know where they found him. He was returning from an abandoned well on the outskirts of the settlement, a forbidden area where locals claim you can hear a woman crying every night at midnight. Ravi's condition suggests that the warnings surrounding this well are not just village ghost stories, but a response to a real, mind-shattering catalyst. To understand what he saw, we have to reconstruct the timeline from midnight, when the rest of the village was asleep and defenseless. Ravi left his home entirely by choice. He accepted a challenge from his friends to go to the well and debunk the Lopo superstition. This diagram outlines Ravi's path, systematically pulling him away from the safe houses and into an isolated agricultural zone. Mapping the village's radiating sound waves reveals a dead zone. The well is positioned so screams for help cannot reach civilization. Ravi reached the well's stone edge. Instead of silence, he heard a woman's voice crying from the bottom, begging to be pulled out. This is the core mechanic of the lure. The entity doesn't use brute force. It weaponizes human empathy, manufacturing a crisis that compels the listener to step closer. The geography and the psychological manipulation work together. It isolates the target in silence, locking them in place with a false sense of heroism. Ravi leaned over the edge and pointed his flashlight into the pitch-black shaft, trying to pierce the deep shadows below. The narrow beam caught something at the bottom. A faint figure in a white dress stood motionless, her face entirely obscured by long, dark hair. The voice echoed up the stone walls, repeating a single instruction: "Save me! Pull me out!" His instincts screamed at him to run back to the village, but the sight of a body overrode his primal survival instinct. Acting on adrenaline, he grabbed a heavy rope near the rim and began feeding it down into the suffocating darkness. The moment the rope drops into the shaft, the dynamic shifts. Attempting a rescue unintentionally bridges the gap between the victim and whatever waits in the dark. The exact second Ravi felt the tension on the rope as the girl grabbed the bottom end, his cell phone rang in his pocket. It was his grandfather. When Ravi answered, the old man was screaming frantically through the speaker, "Ravi, get away from the well! That is not human!" In a fraction of a second, Ravi's understanding of the situation shattered. The adrenaline of the rescue vanished, replaced by the crushing realization that he was tethered to a predator. He dropped the phone and peered back over the edge of the well. The rope was dangling freely. The shaft was completely empty. The threat had completely bypassed the physical depth of the well. When Ravi slowly turned around, the entity was standing inches from his back. Her face was severely burned. Her eyes were pure, void-like black, and she was stretching her jaw into a wide, unnatural smile. This is the visual that shattered Ravi's sanity. Ravi remains permanently silent today, but the cycle at the outskirts of the village continues. At midnight, the crying still echoes from the bottom of the abandoned well. The pattern of the well suggests a trap designed to exploit our best intentions. Knowing how it functions is one thing. Overriding the impulse to answer a cry for help is another.